All right, good evening, and welcome to tonight's wrestling meet. It's the Milford Spartans are in town, meeting the Merrimack Tomahawks here at the H. Dana Taylor Gymnasium. My name is Justin Slez. I am the Assistant Media Services Coordinator for the town of Merrimack. I am joined today by Aaron McAloon, who will be calling everything here for you. I'll be slipping in some station ID reads and stuff. We got Grace LeMay, Media Assistant, back at Town Hall. She'll be running some replays for us, making sure our stream's looking good and all that good stuff. She will be taking over to do the town council meeting a little bit later on, so those replays might taper off just a bit. And we are going to get started here pretty quick here by the looks of it. So, Aaron, I'm going to hand it over to you if you have any thoughts coming into this matchup here.
Yeah, thanks. Looks like we've got a little bit of an adjustment. I think we were anticipating the JV matches to happen at the end, but looks like we're going to lead with our 5 JV matches. So for the Tomahawks, this is Brandon Gendron. And for the Spartans of Milford, this is going to be Colton Schuster. So right away, it looks like we've got Schuster of the Spartans in on a 3-point takedown. Riding that tight waist. Looks like he's got an arm as well. Into a little bit of a tilt combination there. I don't see the referee holding any back points, so still just a 3-point takedown. The Milford wrestler Schuster in control. Now working hard on that half. Looking for a turn, with Gendron able to fight it off. Gendron really looking to try to get back to his base here, but Schuster running that half hard. Nearly able to get some back points, some near fall points, but unable. Trying to get control of his hands back and get his belt buckle to the mat. Once again, Schuster running that half, and he's got it in pretty deep now. Gendron's in trouble. Looks like Schuster's own hand is the only thing preventing the fall here at this point. And referee Mark Campbell signaling the end of the match with a win by fall for Colton Schuster of Milford. Looks like we're going to have Jack Anderson for the Tomahawks and Carter Beebe for the Milford Spartans coming out. This bout being wrestled at 132 pounds. One of the 5 JV bouts. And underway immediately, little hand fighting. Beebe trying to circle hard, trying to get the 3-point takedown. Anderson able to fend that off. Looks like he might be trying to be in on a leg. But there, Beebe collects the 3-point takedown. Now looking like he's trying to collect a wing here. Goes back to a tight waist ankle. Anderson trying to stay active down below. Be looking for that bottom wrestler to try to get back to his base, create some hip separation, try to get away. Looking for lots and lots of movement from the bottom wrestler here, Jack Anderson. Trying to get his hips out front. Got a mat return by Beebe, who continues to lead 3-0 with 1:05 to go here in period number 1. You can see Anderson trying to get a little knee slide there, gets separation, and is able to get the 1-point escape. So Beebe of Milford leading 3-1. A little bit of tying up here. Both wrestlers looking for a chance to find some control. Looks like we've got Anderson's headgear has been knocked askew. So quick reset here in the action. Starting back again at neutral. Beebe leading Anderson 3-1. 35 seconds to go in the first period. This is what you want to see. The wrestlers kind of wrestling in a phone booth here in that center circle. Keeping everything on the mat, away from the edge. Looks like Anderson trying to get in on that single leg. He's got to find a way to keep his base under him. Not able to do it. And Beebe able to spin around and acquire another 3-point takedown and now lead 6-1. Looks like we might have a near side cradle locked up. And he's collecting back points here in short time. I see the referee holding 3. So BB now leads 9-1 as time ticks down on period number 1. I think we had mentioned it in the first broadcast. That 3-point takedown has been a real game changer this year. Moving from 2 to 3 really puts an emphasis on scoring. And if a wrestler can really get in there and acquire, a takedown, 2 takedowns, 3 takedowns, the score can get out of hand in a hurry.
Yes.
And that's what we saw here in the first period. So it looks like the choice was to start in neutral. I think that was the Milford choice, which makes sense. With 3 takedowns in the first period, they're looking to maybe get some bonus points here and see if they can run this match score up a little bit. Looks like Anderson needs an adjustment on that headgear again. Headgear down in his face. It's tough to wrestle like that. There's not a lot of equipment in wrestling, right? It's kind of shoes, maybe knee pads, and some headgear. But there is nothing worse than when that headgear is flopping around and you can't see, or it's over your mouth. It becomes a real distraction.
Yeah.
So both wrestlers continue to hand fight here in the center. No scoring here in the second period. But wrist control. Nice shot attempt there by Jack Anderson. Not able to really keep his hand or his hips under him. Got a little stretched out. And again, BB of Milford able to acquire that 3-point takedown and to take a 12-1 lead here, just under a minute to go in the second period. And Anderson's headgear is kind of now a necklace.
It certainly is.
That thing it's become a bit of a nuisance for the Tomahawk wrestler here. You might notice that the referee's not stopping the action for the headgear like he did in the first period. In the first period, that happened kind of in a neutral situation where there wasn't any action going on. But with BB, trying to get the turn and having a position of advantage, the referee is not going to stop this action to fix the headgear. So really have to make sure your equipment is ready to go. Looks like he's trying to run a wing here. It's not quite a half Nelson. And again, I see the referee holding 4 near fall points. That would make it 16-1. He awards him. And that is a technical fall victory for BB of Milford. For everybody watching at home, team scoring. We have 2 scores that happen. We've got match scoring and we've got team scoring. So a bout that goes the distance, goes the entire match, and is 7 points or less is a 3-point team award for a decision. A major decision is from between 8 and 14 points. A technical fall is worth 5 points. That would be anytime the match gets to a variance of 15 points or more, it'll be stopped. And 15 points awarded, 6 points for a fall, and 6 points for a forfeit. So we move to about at 138 pounds, and very quickly, we've got Mason Karen for the Tomahawks, and it's Woods, Devin Woods of Milford, who immediately gets in, gets the takedown, and then I see the referee holding 4 back points. So for all intents and purposes, it's 7-0 here, and looks like Woods is able to finish that and gets a 6-point fall. This next bout is going to be wrestled at 175 pounds. For the Tomahawks, it's Avery Lantain. And for the visiting Spartans, I believe this looks like Joe Schnitzler.
Joe's got some kind of shoulder thing going on.
Yeah, it's you see a lot of these braces, particularly when you get into this time of the year. I had it in my notes to mention the Tomahawks themselves have been really plagued by injury and illness, and this is sort of the dog days of the wrestling season here. Once you get into mid to late January, it's been a long 2-month season to this point. At this point, really, people are trying to just stay sharp, stay healthy, with an eye toward the postseason. So, we've got some wrestlers of our own. I know Connor Sabal often, has to wear some of these braces, whether it's the knee or the shoulder. I think our senior captain, Avery Berardinelli, also has to wear some of these things. So they do what they have to do to be able to compete. So it looks like Schnitzler's in full control here. Got the takedown. Leads 3-0. Now trying to get some near fall awards. And I see referee Mark Campbell. Looks like he's holding either 3 or 4, I can't quite tell. But it is academic. Schnitzler gets the win by fall. I think we're moving into our final JV bout of the night. This one to be wrestled at 215 pounds. For the Tomahawks, it's going to be Cooper Seltzam-Wilps. And for the Spartans, it's going to be Brendan Mazerall. And away we go. Mazerall in immediately on that blast double, able to get the 3-point takedown. You can see he's got wrist control there on the left arm. Seltzam-Wilps able to get his hands back. Again, we've got another headgear issue. And you can see, as I pointed out, the referees are not going to stop action when there's a scoring opportunity or an advantage for a wrestler. So you saw referee Mark Campbell just kind of take that headgear and kind of toss it off the mat out of the way. And the action will continue. You can see nice job there by Cooper. Able to get to his base. Now he's got to work on getting those hips away. Really here needs to try to get into a sprawl and get those legs out. Not quite able to finish it, but good wrestling from the bottom there. This is what you have to show the referee when you're on the bottom. So, Seltzam-Wilps down here on the bottom has to show that he's active, that he's making attempts to escape. The top wrestlers got to make sure that they're clearly showing the referee that they're making an attempt to score with a turn. Neither wrestler wants to be in a position to get, called for stalling. Both wrestlers working hard. And just like that, you see Seltzam-Wilps gets called for not being active enough on the bottom. And referee Mark Campbell hits him with a stall warning. So you get one warning. The next stall call would result in a 1-point penalty. So looking hard here, 28 seconds to go in the first period. Seltzam-Wilps has got to start getting active on the bottom so that he doesn't get hit again. You can see right there, again, gets to his knees. Tried to turn in, unsuccessful, and actually gets caught in a cradle here, near side cradle. And Mazerall able to complete another fall for the Spartans. So I think that's going to complete our JV action, and we're going to start to move towards our varsity duel.
Milford JV coming out looking pretty sharp tonight.
Yeah, it's a this is a solid team. Looks like the 3 captains out here just identify kind of who we are for the Tomahawks here at home. I see senior Avery Berardinelli. I see senior Connor Sabal, and this is a junior Landon Schultz. Our 3 captains out there for the coin flip, decide the odd-even matches. Like I mentioned, the Tomahawks come in really trying to just get healthy. Lots of injury and illness. The Spartans come in. Interesting kind of process, I think, for the Spartans this year. Definitely not, rebuilding, more of a reload for them. They lost some seniors, but this is a team that's heavily laden, the Milford Spartans, with sophomores and juniors, so still a very good, skilled team. Looks like we're going to start tonight's duel at 126 pounds. For the Spartans, I see freshman Owen Sabal. For Milford, this is going to be Calix LaJoy. Calix, a very, very good wrestler. He's a freshman, collecting an awful lot of wins for a freshman. So these guys actually have some common opponents. Calix and Owen both have wins over Burton from Goffstown. Owen's got a close decision win over Crea from Hollis Brookline, where Calix LaJoy lost an error decision to him, so I anticipate this being a very competitive bout. Both of these kids wrestled in the NHWA middle school championships last year, with both being placers. Owen Sabal finished 4th. Calix LaJoy had just a fantastic run himself in that tournament. So you see right away here, looks like with a minute 10 to go, Sabal able to collect the takedown and is now working on some control. Really trying to make sure that he keeps LaJoy driven flat. I think both of these wrestlers also a little bit of legacy for both of these schools. Owen is the younger brother of senior captain Connor Sabal, and I have a sneaking suspicion, I don't know this for sure, but I believe Calix is the younger brother of Kyle LaJoy, who was a Division II state champion last year for the Milford Spartans and is now graduated.
Wow. Got like fun fact after fun fact down there. Came prepared, Aaron. We appreciate that.
These kids have they have resumes, they have credentials. I like to make sure that if they've done something that we're prepared to talk about it. So
it's great.
LaJoy really trying to get hips away here, working hard, trying to get that escape. Sabal able to get back down to the legs, trying to keep that control. Again, both wrestlers doing exactly what's needed, for our referee to not have to get involved and not be involved in the stall calls or anything like that. So really nice first period, lots of action there. And Sabal leads LaJoy 3-0. Looks like Milford is going to defer. They won the toss and is going to defer. And Merrimack has chosen to start the period down in the referee's position. So Sabal going to be looking to either get that quick escape or to potentially get some kind of reversal. Scoring from positions of disadvantage is a key part of the sport of wrestling. Great inside trip right there. Very nicely done by LaJoy to get that mat return. Sabal had gotten to his feet and was working toward an escape. LaJoy kind of hit that little inside trip and sat him right back down. You can see LaJoy trying to keep his hips tight. You see Sabal trying to find, separation. A little bit of a strange mat return there where Sabal kind of landed directly on his shoulder, but appears to be okay.
Yeah, I felt that one up here.
LaJoy doing a nice job keeping control. Again, one of the new sort of rules that's come into place this year, an adjustment in some of the out-of-bounds rules. Last year, really, anytime anybody got close to the edge, you'd get a whistle. This year, it's gone to more of the NCAA-style rule where any part of either wrestler being inbounds is going to result in the action continuing. So that's what you just saw there on the edge. It wasn't until both wrestlers were completely outside the cylinder that we got the whistle. So you see LaJoy again, working to try to control the ankle, trying to shelf it. Sabal able to kind of explode out of there to get the escape. Now leads 4-0. LaJoy tried to get right back in on a reshot. Unable to get it, and Sabal, I believe, was awarded the takedown. Looks like he was awarded the takedown to lead 7-0, but LaJoy seems to have suffered some sort of injury to his shoulder or collarbone.
And if you're enjoying the meet tonight, check out more MHS sports action by downloading the Merrimack TV app. Merrimack TV is a free download from your device's app store. Download Merrimack TV on your iPhone, Android, Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire device. Watch live varsity sports, concerts, meetings, events, and other on-demand content. You're watching Merrimack TV, your community, your voice. And Spartan looks like he is hurting a little bit there.
So you can see probably on your screen that injury time is running. They'll start that clock, and essentially when the clock hits 0, a decision will have to be made about whether the Milford wrestler can continue. There are two sort of clocks, if you will, related to injuries. There's an injury clock, which is running now. There's also a blood time clock that will also come into play in some of these bouts. I see LaJoy taking some deep breaths. There's no doubt that he wants to continue.
Absolutely.
It's sometimes there's a difference between being hurt and being injured, and sometimes you can work through hurt. It's hard to work through injured, and you can tell he's in some pain. Looks like he's not going to be able to continue. That's unfortunate.
Yes.
You never want to see that for anybody, especially a talented young wrestler in a very competitive bout that was headed toward, maybe being the bout of the night. But these things happen. It's a physical sport, contact sport. Unfortunate for him, but best thing for him is probably to get off the mat, hopefully get healthy. So Coming out for the Tomahawks now at 132 pounds is senior captain Connor Sabal. I'm not sure. I am not sure who this is. I hear Kiki being said by the Milford the Milford bench, but I'm not
sure that's an official name. But
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have nicknames on my weigh-in sheet, so not exactly sure. I think we're going to go with Kiki for the Milford
Kiki,
wrestler. So it looks like we've got Connor Sabal and Kiki from Milford.
Is there like a Keegan on there somewhere?
There's no Keegan. I'm looking down the list, and I'm not seeing it. Looks like good underhook here. Connor Sabal trying to dig in, but now his concern is to be able to kind of sprawl and get his hips away, and he's got the whizzer in. He's whizzering hard, trying to step over, stuffing the head. I can see Connor Sabal still has the whizzer. Now trying to control the ankle. He's got to be able to get to the head. He wants to stuff the head, block the arm, and try to kind of circle around. Looks like he's actually now moving toward a far side cradle, but not able to lock it up. But the Milford wrestler, Kiki, looks like he kind of bailed out of there, gave up the position, and Connor Sabal able to get the three-point takedown. Looks like we've got kind of a little hybrid half Nelson here for Connor Sabal, trying to get into a position. He really needs to be able to lift the head. You can see now he's got the head lifted, and he's able to acquire those back point swipes and ultimately get the fall. So that's a 6-point victory.
Great.
For the Tomahawks. So with the injury default followed by the win by fall, the Tomahawks lead the duel 12-0 after 2 matches.
Great. Thank you for watching today's meet on Merrimack TV. If you want to find out more about Merrimack TV, you can email myself, Justin Slez, or Nicholas LaValle at Merrimack TV at merrimacknh.gov. Questions, comments, suggestions, compliments, we'll take them there. Merrimack TV at merrimacknh.gov.
So this is junior captain Landon Schultz for the Tomahawks. I believe this is going to be Cameron Stickney for the Spartans. Cameron, excuse me, a junior wrestler, been in the lineup for the Spartans here for a couple of years. Very solid wrestler. Certainly wins a heck of a lot more than he loses. We got a little scramble situation here. Both wrestlers looking to find an advantage. Landon Schultz trying to keep that leg. And that should be 3, and it is. I see the takedown awarded to Stickney of the Spartans, who now leads 3-0 over Schultz. Stickney trying to run that arm behind Schultz's back. Schultz able to get to his feet. Now looking to kind of break that grip. Oh, he's got to get to his belly. Stuck in a weird spot there with his right arm behind him, but able to get his belt buckled down to the mat, get back to his base, prevent any of those back points. So nice wrestling there by Schultz to limit the damage. Stickney still leading 3-0. Minute to go here in period number 1. You can see he's got that kind of crossbody wrist, looking to tilt. Able to get the tilt, and I see referee Mark Campbell swiping back points. Looks like he's holding, I believe he's holding 3, could be, nope, holding 4. And as soon as Stickney releases that grip, you can see he kind of put his hands out to indicate to the referee that he had released the grip and then was awarded those 4 points. You can only score those near fall points from a single hold 1 time. And so that's what those referees, when we say that they're holding 4, what we mean is that they've essentially awarded the points, but they don't give them until that wrestler completely releases the hold that they used to get the points. And then they are awarded, and then they can go ahead and proceed to try to collect more scoring points.
Milford having their own headgear trouble here.
It's like contagious. I don't know how many times I've seen this. It's like once one goes awry, they all start to go awry, and things turn into a little bit of a circus. But 10 seconds to go here with Stickney leading 7-0. Got to be careful. That was a dangerous situation. Landon Schultz kind of got a little bit caught up, almost reaching back. You'll hear wrestling coaches, for the last 100 years and for 100 years to come, will yell at their wrestlers, do not reach back. Really put you in a danger position. Almost got caught there, but Schultz able to recover the arm. So it looks like we're going to start period 2 in neutral with Stickney of Milford leading Schultz of Merrimack 7-0. Again, kind of wrestling in the phone booth. Stickney in on that single, transitions to a double, and we're back into this sort of scramble. Schultz, you can see, trying to inch those hips back and get his hips away. Stickney able to get to the waist and again secure the 3-point takedown. So just like that, we're at 10-0. And Stickney's now got kind of more of a mask than headgear again. It's a pandemic. I know that's a dirty word, being where we were here the last few years, but maybe we'll go epidemic. So Schultz almost able to oh, you saw again. His instinct there for a second was to reach back. He thought better of it. Lives to fight another day there on the bottom. Looks like we're trying to, again, get a little cheap tilt here on the edge. And again, looking for a kind of cheap little wrist and tilt. Referee Mark Campbell saying no. Did not have control. So Stickney leading 10-0.
Got that running across his eyes now by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's as interesting. My own son, who wrestles for the Tomahawks, wears glasses. He is blind as a bat, but he doesn't wear it when he wrestles. It's definitely a sport of kind of feel, especially when you're on the mat, and in some of those positions. Neutral, it can be a problem, right? It's difficult to wrestle when you can't see somebody. But when you're kind of in that referee's position or, that parterre position where one wrestler's got control, it's a little easier to wrestle, kind of not being able to see. It becomes almost more of a game of feel. I see double underhooks here for Stickney, able to jack Schultz up and just kind of body lock him to the ground. So Stickney doing a nice job of being pressure forward here, staying off his knees, making Schultz carry his weight. Schultz, it's not that Schultz is doing nothing. Schultz is working hard under there. He's been in multiple positions where he's been close to an escape. This is just Stickney, being really solid and really kind of holding these positions and preventing Schultz from getting some of these escapes. So again, looks like we're going to start the third period neutral. Stickney of Milford leading 10-0 over Schultz of Merrimack. Again, Schultz in a position where he's fighting off that takedown, ends up just kind of belling out 13-0. Now in danger, right? So a junior captain, what we're looking for from Schultz here, I would imagine. This is you can't give up any more, right? So we're trying to save team points here. We had talked about the difference between a major decision and a tech fall. So if he's able to keep this thing, keep the match alive and finish at 13, it's only 14 points for Milford. If he gives up any more points and it gets to be a 15-point deficit, and you can see strategy playing in. So Schultz was awarded the 1-point escape to go 13-1. That's a strategic move here by the Spartans. Their intent there was to get into a position where Stickney could acquire one more takedown and get the tech fall, which he has just done, and get the extra team point. So a little strategy mid-match there played by the Milford Spartan coaches.
Well played.
And they collect 5 team points for the tech fall at 138 pounds. We move to 144, where the Tomahawks send out sophomore Cale McAloon. The Spartans are sending out, this is Tanner Herbert. Tanner Herbert, another one of the juniors on this junior-laden team for the Spartans. Very solid wrestler, wins tons of matches. They do have a few common opponents. They've sort of lost some close bouts to the same kids. They've got some wins over the same kids. This is probably slight advantage, Milford. But McAloon in very quickly, trying to get in on that double. Not able to complete it. A little reshot there by Herbert. McAloon's looks like trying to bail out. He's able to bail out, so gives up the 3-point takedown. Herbert of Milford leads. Very aggressive start there by McAloon with Tomahawks, able to get in pretty deep on the shot, but unable to complete it. And then gives up the reshot by Herbert. So McAloon able to get to his base here, now trying to get a little bit of separation. And out of bounds we go. So we will restart here. The referee's position, Herbert on top, leading 3-0, a minute to 20 to go. Looks like there was a caution there against the Merrimack wrestler, McAloon. I think once he had been set, he then moved. So McAloon trying to control the head. He was away there for a second, but not able to completely get away. So still doing a lot of work, again, here, able to get to his base. Looking to get his head up, right? Got to keep the eyes off the mat. Looking to get your head up, your hips separated. Sort of unable to do that at this point. Again, right on the edge. Herbert's running a half hard here, trying to get the turn on the edge. McAloon able to fend it off. 45 seconds to go here in the first period. Herbert got a little high there, but not able. Looks like he's running that half again. McAloon's in trouble now on the edge. I would imagine there's got to be back points here. He's been and looks like a fall right there on the edge. So a tough result there at 144 pounds for the Tomahawks, but Milford with that 6 moves to 11 team points. And I think it's 12-11 now as the team score through 4 bouts. We move to 150 pounds, where the Tomahawks will send out freshman Braden Callan. And Milford is sending out Philip Wright. Philip is a sophomore. A little bit of mixed results, I think, for him this season, but certainly acquired an awful lot of wins. He's wrestled some of the absolute top kids in the 150-pound weight class here in Division II. He's had a lot of splits with some of these kids. Probably his most impressive win coming against Jaden Deal of Spalding, one of the better 144s in the state, and he gets a very quick win by fall there. Braden, a kid who just sort of cracking the varsity lineup for Merrimack here in the last few weeks. Little shuffle in the lineup has happened. Braden's been working super hard in the practice room and has worked his way into the varsity lineup. So, a quick result, not the result that he wants, but for a fairly inexperienced kid, a kid new to wrestling, positive experience for him just to have cracked the varsity lineup here as a sophomore.
Yes, absolutely.
So we move to 157, and I see for the Tomahawks, it is going to be Justin Foss. And for the Spartans, I believe this is Jace Wilhelmy. Wilhelmy's just a freshman, but just an absolute outstanding wrestler for the Spartans. Just far more advanced than you would expect for a freshman wrestler. I think most of his in-state losses are just to like the top 2 or 3 kids in the state.
Wow.
He's lost to some out-of-state competition. Just a phenomenal talent here for a freshman. One of the more impressive routes last year as a middle schooler in 8th grade at the NHWA States. He wrestled his way into the quarterfinals of a 32-man bracket. Lost in the quarterfinals and then ripped off 4 straight wins to end up taking 3rd.
Wow!
His only loss in that tournament to the eventual champion in his weight class. So, just an awesome performance by him in that tournament, and he certainly continued that here in his freshman campaign. So, Justin Foss has his hands full. Wilhelmy leads 3-0 here with 1:05 to go. He's able to get the turn here and gets the win by fall. So Merrimack reeling here just a little bit. The Spartans have now kind of ripped off, I believe it's 17 straight team points. So the Tomahawks kind of led 12-0 to start. It's now 17-12. And I see for the Tomahawks, we've got Amir Safa. And for the Spartans, this looks like Noah Kittredge. This should be a competitive bout. This is one of the changes, the recent kind of changes that we've seen in the varsity lineup. Amir Safa had spent a good portion of the season wrestling at 157. He's now moved up to 165. It's still, well within a reason for where his actual weight is. But, a little bit of a step up for him. Kittredge just had a nice season. Kittredge is a senior for the Spartans. I expect this to be a pretty competitive bout. Amir's a big, strong kid. You can see he's in there trying to finish that double leg. He really needs to try to get his head to the hip to be able to turn the corner and finish that. Unable to do so. Now trying to fight off a takedown attempt from Kittredge. Unable to do so, and Kittredge leads 3-0 with 1:20 in the first period. So Safa now trying to get his hands forward. Now try to work to your base. I see Kittredge trying to really pressure and run that power half. He's got the right arm across the back of the head, gripping the hand that goes under the arm. Unable to complete that power half. That's an uncomfortable position to be in. And Safa quickly able to navigate his way out of it. Looks like we've maybe got a 2-on-1 now on Safa's arm underneath and is now trying to circle to his head. Kittredge trying to get a turn here. Safa working hard to kind of look away. We're headed toward the edge here. Again, with this new out-of-bounds rule, this action is going to continue. I think I see 4 points of contact still. So last year where maybe we would have had a stop in action at this point, it's going to continue. And now it looks like briefly they may have been out, but not far enough out for the referee to stop the match. And now we've got a tough spot for Amir Safa, who ends up getting pinned. So Kittredge from Milford able to secure the win by fall. We move to 23-12 in favor of Milford as we head into 175 pounds, where I anticipate Carter Anderson, and there he is. So looks like we've got Jack Clancy is going to come out for the Milford Spartans and will toe the line against Carter Anderson of the Tomahawks. Carter Anderson having a nice season, sophomore here for the Tomahawks. Had a really nice freshman campaign. Has certainly repeated that in a much bigger weight class. I think Carter was based 150, 157 last year, all the way up. I think he started the year maybe wrestling at 190. He's now worked his way down to 175. I anticipate he'll probably stay there at this point for the postseason. But just huge growth spurt for him, and when that happens, sometimes it's not as easy to continue or to have the continued success when you go up, a weight class or two. But Carter's a very athletic kid. I think he plays on the football team. Was able to kind of navigate that growth spurt and has continued to have some pretty good success. So Anderson trying to fight off this sort of reshot. And we briefly had both wrestlers outside the cylinder. We get the stoppage and a restart in neutral position here with 1:18 to go in the first period in a scoreless match between Carter Anderson of the Tomahawks and Jack Clancy of the Milford Spartans. So you can see as we start to get into the heavier weight classes, there's a little bit more, maybe a slightly slower pace. You get a lot more sort of tie-ups. You're going to have a lot more, kind of wrist control or Russian ties. It gets a little bit, it's almost a different sport compared to some of the middle weights and the lower weights. It's a lot of throws. It's a lot of heavy hands. You can see these two guys kind of wrestling forehead to forehead, ear to ear, trying to fight for inside position. We've got more headgear problems there. The referee giving the benefit of the doubt to the wrestlers again. Not a scoring, not a scoring opportunity in the match, so he kind of gives the pause and allows Anderson to fix the headgear. So back into the phone booth we go, head to head, ear to ear. Two big boys kind of fighting for hand position, trying to get each other off the head, find a position of advantage. Carter Anderson looked like he had it briefly. And I think it's going to be 3. It is. Okay, so he awarded 3. Briefly looked like Clancy might escape, but they went out of bounds before that happened. So Carter Anderson leads 3-0. And looks like another caution against a Merrimack wrestler this time. I couldn't see what he did. It was either he wasn't on the belly or he wasn't on the elbow. And so he was cautioned by referee Mark Campbell. So Anderson leads 3-0 here with 2 seconds to go in the first period, just trying not to give up anything cheap late, and he does not. So we will move into the second period with Anderson of Merrimack leading 3-0. Merrimack defers to Milford, who chooses to go down. So Clancy of Milford again. The wrestler that chose to go down is going to be looking for an opportunity to either get the 1-point escape or find an opportunity to get a reversal. Looks like Anderson trying to do a little suck back there, able to maintain control. I see he's kind of got a tight waist with that right arm, trying to pull in a wrist with the left hand, trying to maintain, very close contact. You want to be hip to hip in the top position. Looks like we've got a near side cradle attempt by Carter Anderson. I can't quite tell if he's got it locked up. It looks like he does. He had it locked up briefly. And now Anderson really, I think, probably just looking to get the 1. And he gets it. So it's now 3-1 in favor of Anderson over Clancy of Milford. Minute 10 to go here in period number 2. Right back to the center we go. Lots of hand fighting again, head to head, ear to ear. Kind of wrestle in that phone booth. Look for your opportunities to get an inside position or, maybe some wrist control in a rush in, and just look for that small window of opportunity to seek out a scoring attempt. And again, it looks like Anderson's going to have to try to block that left arm if he's going to try to circle around. Not quite able to do it. Clancy able to get to his feet and prevent that attempt from happening. So back to the center we go. Anderson got a little out of position there on that shot. He kind of went in arms wide. Clancy able to kind of catch it and is now collected a 3-point takedown to take a 4-3 lead. 10 seconds to go here in the second period. This would be a big one. If Anderson was able to get an escape or even a reversal here late, that would be a huge victory, and he's able to secure the takedown and retake the lead 5-4 right at the buzzer. That's tough wrestling. That is exactly what you want to see at this point in the year from a tough leader on the team, only a sophomore, but a kid that I think they look to produce results for them. That's a gutty kind of little sequence there, that last 5 seconds by Carter Anderson. So Anderson starting the third period down, and again, no difference. He's trying to do the same thing he did there at the end of the third period, looking for an opportunity to either escape. Looks like we're running a hard half here by Clancy. He just caught the arm. Anderson fighting this thing hard to not give up any near fall points. Now Clancy's trying to switch to the other side on that half. Unfortunately, his left hip is kind of on the mat, and he's not going to be in a position to get the turn anyway. He's very high. You'd really like to see Carter Anderson kind of get to his base, try to get some elevation here. I hear the Milford coaches imploring Jack Clancy to try to wrench him over. Now Anderson looks like he's trying to peel that half. He's able to peel it. He's wearing the mask again with that headgear.
Certainly is.
Under a minute to go here with Anderson leading 5-4. What about this has turned out to be? We thought we might have the bout of the night at 126, but here we are at 175, and we've got competition. Again, Anderson trying to fight off this half Nelson attempt.
It's going to be a long 30 seconds
30
here.
seconds to go. Anderson's going to have to dig deep, find a way to get to his base, get some hip separation, and try to get out of this position. Right now, it's looking like Anderson's a bit fresher. Or excuse me, Clancy from Milford's a bit fresher. And I see a stall warning here against Carter Anderson from Merrimack. So that's the referee telling him he has to get busy. And I think... So we've got a technical violation. It sounds like the referee determined that Anderson grabbed the fingers.
Wow.
Which makes this a 5-5 duel. Or excuse me, a 5-5 match with 4 seconds to go. So Anderson really here just looking for an explosion. He's just going to try to explode out of there, get the escape, collect one, or we're headed to overtime. And we are headed to overtime. What a sequence.
Wow.
4 seconds to go to get hit with that penalty. Interesting there. I didn't see it. I certainly have no reason to doubt referee Mark Campbell. But, tough. That's a tough one for Anderson. He's going to have to dig deep here. This is a sudden victory in the first overtime period, so 1 minute. If either wrestler scores, they will win the bout. So I see Anderson immediately on that single leg. Or Clancy is. Anderson trying to fight it off. Looks like he's gotten back to a neutral position. Anderson's got to work hard to kind of stay in his stance, stay athletic. Clancy able to get to a double. He sat him down and is able to get the takedown there.
Wow.
What a bout that was.
That was great.
Tough result, but just a phenomenal bout. Definitely the bout of the night so far for us here at 175 pounds between Carter Anderson of Merrimack and the winner, Jack Clancy of Milford. So we move to 190 pounds, where I see, I believe this is Leland Eaton for the Tomahawks. Leland is a freshman. And I see Nate Post, who's coming out for the Spartans. Kind of a little bit of a tale of two careers here. We've got a freshman in Leland Eaton for your Tomahawks, and we've got a senior in Nate Post for the Spartans. So a little bit maybe of an experience difference. Leland's a pretty solid freshman wrestler. I believe he was a state placer last year as an 8th grader at the NHWA state tournament, but certainly going to have his hands full. Post is another one of these guys that has basically beaten everybody at 190 pounds with the exception of Nichols from Pelham and Goodwin from Spalding. And a handful of out-of-state kids. Otherwise, he just plain and simple beats everybody you put in front of him. So certainly a kid that you'd expect to see competing for state placement. And pretty quickly into the match here, he's able to get the takedown, leads 3-0 with 1:20 to go in the first period. Eaton's not going to let it happen, I'll tell you that. Leland is a big, strong, tough kid. He may not win, a lot of matches. He may not win every match, but he's certainly going to go out there and compete, and he's not going to give anybody anything. So you can see Leland there able to get to his feet. He's now working on trying to get his hips away. Got to be careful there. That's that reach back that we talked about before. Some of that inexperience sometimes comes out with these kids. Got to be careful there with the arm.
Do not reach back.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to reach back. It's one of those cardinal sins of wrestling, right? It's stay off your back and do not reach back. So it looks like Eaton kind of trying to keep his hips high. We've got a reversal. And now Eaton trying to work on backs. What's interesting here is if Post just gets his feet out of bounds, the only thing keeping that action going was Post's own foot.
Wow.
So I don't think we got any near fall points, any back points awarded. But we will restart here with Leland Eaton on top and in control. Nathaniel Post, from Milford, currently leading 3-2 on the match score. And I see the referee indicating locking hands against our freshman Leland Eaton. Not allowed to lock your hands. I can hear the people yelling free move. It's kind of an interesting way of saying it, but essentially when you get called for locking hands, nothing bad can happen. It's like when in football when the defense, is offsides and the quarterback decides to just air one out down the field.
Right.
When the other wrestler has been called for locking hands, there's going to be a penalty point awarded. So even if Leland had tried to get into a position of advantage, the referee would have immediately stopped the match to award the point to Post. So that's where you can really jump out and try to take a chance. You saw Post do that and was able to both look like, I think he got the reversal and backs there, and sort of, in the blink of an eye, like we said, you move from 3-2 when we started that sequence to 10-2 as we start the second period. That was just a really nice setup by a senior wrestler, frankly. It's a subtle thing. Post really just kind of put some pressure. He was kind of pressuring into Leland Eaton, kind of being heavy on the head, sort of baited Eaton to kind of come forward and resist. And as soon as that happened, he was able to kind of level change, get this takedown, and he's going to finish this either with a technical fall or a win by fall. Be nice if Eaton was able to fight this off, but unable to do so. Again, that's just overmatched. Nothing Eaton did really there. I mean, what Leland lacks is experience. And the way you get that is by going out there and towing the line. So bright future for Leland Eaton, certainly. And, losing to Nathaniel Post is nothing to be ashamed of. I believe we're moving to 215 pounds here. So for the Tomahawks, we've got Joey Elnar. So I believe this is Elijah Wales. Seems like they're calling him Eli. Eli's another solid wrestler for the Tomahawks. So is Elnar. Elnar's, I don't have any idea what Joey's record is. He's probably 500. But another one of these just very big, strong kids, really trying to find his way with some of the technique. Certainly a big, strong kid, athletic kid, who's just really trying to learn the sport. And I think the longer that goes on, the better Joey's going to be. I think he wins a lot of matches with his athleticism and with some of the strength and power that he possesses. Elijah Wales is a junior, very solid wrestler. He's wrestled a lot of the top kids, again, in D2. And he's either got wins or kind of splits against a lot of that competition. The only other losses he has are all in these out-of-state events that Milford travels to. So, this is a Milford team, coached by Joe Fosher, who himself was a phenomenal wrestler, a multi-time state champion. And he runs Mindset Wrestling, a wrestling club in Milford. A lot of these kids go to Mindset Wrestling. Some of the Merrimack kids go to Mindset Wrestling in the off-season. Looks like we've got a stall warning against Milford there. So the referees determined that Elnar is really trying to force the action, and presumably that Wales is not doing enough to show that he's trying to score. So first period stall warning. Sometimes that can come into play late. But Wales able to get in on a double here. Elnar's going to have to bail out, and he does. But right away, Wales gets in on that power half. Let's go with the power half. Now trying to run a half, and he's starting to reach for a leg here. This looks like it's going to be a fall. And it is. Elnar not able to fight it off. And I think that's going to be 38 unanswered team points for the Milford Spartans. who now lead 38-12. So we move to 285 pounds. I see Tyler Hansberry coming out for your Tomahawks. And this looks like Brandon Lehman for the Spartans. Lehman is a junior. Wrestled a full season here on the varsity squad for the Spartans. But in there with a lot of tough kids, I think probably similar to Tyler Hansberry. I anticipate this should be a fairly competitive match. Again, you can see it with some of these bigger guys, right? They tend to wrestle in the phone booth. It's head-to-head. It's a lot of hand fighting. It's a lot of fighting for underhooks and some of that position. Sometimes the pace can be a little slower. I see that Hansberry's got this kind of front headlock, and he's trying to get heavy and kind of snap Lehman down. Unable to do so far. And we're on the edge. He ends up letting it go. And back to the center we go. You can see both wrestlers standing a little taller. The pace maybe just a little slower when you get to big kids like this. This is the 285-pound weight class. I think both of these kids are probably closer to the 230, 235 range, but these are big boys in a tough sport. They certainly aren't going to have the same pace as a 120-pounder would have. And so this fairly typical of what you see in some of these heavyweight bouts. You can see, again, it's very much a fight for sort of position and underhooks, just looking for any opportunity, any small window to be able to score. So you see a nice sprawl there for Hansberry. He's got to find a way to block that arm if he's going to spin around. Oh, and it looked like he tried to kind of throw an underhook, just kind of missed on the underhook, and ends up giving the three-point takedown. And now a power half by Lehman has Hansberry in trouble. And we've got another win by fall for the Milford Spartans. We need a little spark here. It looks like we're going to kind of rotate back to the top of the lineup. And we go from 285 pounds to 106 pounds. So you're going to get
on the little spark here, right?
You're going to get a little different look here. So coming out for the Tomahawks is senior Leanie Haddad. For the Spartans, we've got Braden Butler. Leanie's had some success at some of the all-girls events. I believe she's won a couple of tournaments on the girls tournaments. But she is our varsity 106, 113-pounder given, on any given night. Does a nice job when she comes out here and certainly competes hard against the boys in these co-ed duels. Butler has spent the entire season as a varsity wrestler for the Spartans, either 106 or 113 pounds. So he's certainly gaining some experience. He's a freshman for them. So I anticipate that we should have a fairly competitive bout here. I see Leanie. Looks like she's in on that single leg, trying to finish. Like to see her transition to the left arm control of that leg. Maybe try to snake her right arm up to the waist. But now Butler's got her flattened out. This is not a position you want to be in if you're Leanie Haddad. She's got to try to find a way to get her hips back under her. Really try to fight to keep that leg, but get her hips back under her so that she can finish the takedown. You can see her trying to walk her hips. She's doing exactly what she needs to here. Butler's obviously going to resist every attempt to do that. So right here, if she could step over with that right leg, which she did, and now try to find a way to get her right arm to Butler's hip and pop her head out, she'd be able to secure this takedown. I see the transition right there, and she's able to complete it. Just a phenomenal sort of textbook, step-by-step process of what she needed to do there. So Haddad leads 3-0, under 20 seconds to go in the first period. If I'm one of the Tomahawks coaches at this point, what I'm hoping for is that she just stays heavy, stays in control, don't give up any escapes here late. Unfortunately, not able to do it. Nice job by Butler. Butler doing his job as well for the Spartans and able to secure that 1-point escape with under 10 seconds to go. So we move to the second period. Merrimack defers to Milford, who chooses to go down. Haddad of Merrimack leading. Butler of Milford, 3-1 to start the second period. It's always fun when the wrestlers make you look good. You try to say, hey, this is what you want them to do. This is what you want them to do. And every now and then, it happens. I think Tony Romo's a good guy for that stuff sometimes on the broadcast. It sometimes feels like he knows what's coming. So
yes,
appreciate Leany making me look good there for 5 seconds. Might be my best 5-second sequence of tonight's broadcast.
We'll be sure to highlight it.
I appreciate that. So Haddad again trying to maintain control. I see her. She's got the wrist. Might even be 2-on-1 there. She abandons that and starts to look for. Looks like she's kind of looking for a cradle here. So she's looking for kind of a near side cradle. I hear them imploring her. That would have been a nice opportunity to try to drive the half in. So right here, if she could drive the half with her left arm, I think she's got the right wrist. And looks like we've got a stoppage for blood. Not sure where it's coming from. So it looks like it's Butler of the Spartans. Has a little bit of blood on the elbow.
Oh, man. That is... No, things happen.
Yeah, blood time, one of the most common stoppages in wrestling. It's amazing to me some of the trials and tribulations and tricks that the trainers will go through to get these guys back on the mat. I've seen some state championship finals where, you've got wrestlers out there looking like mummies. They've got nose plugs in both nostrils. They're taped, around their nose, all the way around the back of their heads. I don't know how they're breathing. But when particularly when you get into the postseason and some of these tournament times and kids are wrestling 3, 4, 5, 6 bouts, and again, it's a physical sport. You're going to get banged around. You're going to have bloody noses. You're going to have cuts. And there ain't one of these kids that's going to stop wrestling just because of, a little bit of blood. So if you got to tape me up, if you've got to, jam a nose plug in there and glue it in, we're going to do what we got to do to finish the bout. So the Spartan wrestler, you can see there, they put the Band-Aid on it, and then we're just going to throw some athletic tape over it so that we can complete the bout. This is what wrestling's all about. We're going to do what it takes to stay out there and continue the bout. So
love it.
So we're going to restart the action here. Looks like the blood time clock is still up. Oh, there it is. So 1:04 to go. Haddad of Merrimack leading Butler of Milford 3-1. Leany Haddad here trying to run the half. She's got to jump over. She wants to jump over to the side. She's got the half on, which she's done. And now instead of pushing, you'd really like to see her try to walk her feet toward the head. There she goes. She needs to take a couple of big steps toward Butler's head in order to complete this half and get her points. Step, there it is. There it is. She's able to get the back points for sure. I see the referee holding 4. She's trying to lift that head. If she can elevate his head and get his head off the mat, she can get the fall, and there it is. Senior Leany Haddad getting the win by fall for the Tomahawks and gets them back on the scoreboard. That's a great win for Leany and for the team. Something you love to see. Gritty performance there. Some good technical wrestling. She did a nice job completing, some of those moves. So we move to 113, where I think we're going to see a forfeit for the Tomahawks. We don't have a wrestler at 113. So it'll be another 6 points there for the forfeit. I think, so we're moving to 120 pounds. This will be the final match of this duel for the Tomahawks. I see senior captain Avery Berardinelli. I believe this is Kane Davis for the Spartans. Yep, this is Kane Davis for the Spartans. Kane Davis is a sophomore wrestler. A good solid wrestler. This is a really well-coached team. They've got a lot of depth, like I said, sort of through the middle of the grades. A lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors. It's a well-coached team. It's a well-organized team. So even kids that maybe won't compete necessarily as a state champion or a state placer, everybody on this roster is going to be just a solid, fundamental wrestler, and I think that's what you'll see out of Davis. Avery Berardinelli, no slouch either. Again, we've been to a number of these all-girls tournaments with the 3 female wrestlers that are on the Tomahawk squad. I think Avery's won 2 or 3 tournaments this year, so certainly able to hold her own, including out here in these co-ed matches. Both of these ladies, Leanie and Avery, they are varsity wrestlers. They compete every single week, every single weekend in the varsity lineup for the Tomahawks. So certainly, not while they're really good with the girls, they are just plain and simply valuable members of this team. And when they get in there against the competition and, where it's all girls, they're well above average. And Avery last year at the Meet of Champions was a state runner-up in the girls division. So I think Avery's probably got her eyes set on a state championship as we move into the postseason. So looks like we've got Davis leading 3-0, 40 seconds to go in the first period. Looks like I saw Avery, Davis looked like he had kind of draped his arm over the shoulder. Again, it's one of those danger positions, something you generally try to avoid. You want that top wrestler to really be controlling under the arms. He had draped, and again, we've got another caution. I don't know, again, if that was belly button or elbow. He kind of missed somewhere. The referee clearly not impressed with that. Referee Mark Campbell hits another caution on a restart here. Looks like he's locked up a wing and is now, again, you can see him circling to the head, but unable to turn. Looked like a little smile there for Avery. It was almost like we were just kind of spinning like a top, but now in a danger position. Davis looks like referee Mark Campbell is holding 4. So if he can sit, what you would like to have here is for Kane Davis to literally just sit to his butt to drive the shoulder down, but he's unable to do it.
I didn't realize they were so close to the end of the period there.
Yeah, so the period ends. Mark Campbell awards the 4 points, and Kane Davis of Milford leads Avery Berardinelli 7-0 as we head into the second period. For all, the duel's really over at this point. Probably been over here for two or three bouts at least, with Milford leading. Looks like we got a quick takedown there for Avery Berardinelli, but Davis kind of inching toward a reversal and backs. I see the reversal just awarded, and now collecting 4 back points. So Davis, for all intents and purposes, now leads 13-3. It'll be awarded here if he releases the hold. Hasn't released it yet as he continues to work toward a potential fall. Avery's bridging, just phenomenal bridge here, able to kind of get up to the back of her head to keep her shoulders off the mat. This is one of those situations where Davis really, if he's going to finish this, he's going to have to be able to lift Avery's head off the mat so that it's really kind of the shoulders, but Avery able to fight that off. I see the points have now been awarded for the near fall, and Davis leads 13-3 with just under a minute to go in period 2. So 10-point margin at this point. We're into major decision territory, which would be another 4 points for Milford. Avery obviously fighting. Always want to win the match, but now it becomes a little bit of a, how many bonus points can you prevent? So it looks like Davis has control of the wrist underneath. And looking for a tilt. Not quite able to secure it. Avery Berardinelli trying to get her hands forward, right? It's the kind of step 1 in this process, to get hands forward, get your hips under you, which she's just done. And now she'd be looking to try to either control Davis's wrist and knee slide, or just simply knee slide to create some hip space so that she can escape, but unable to do it there. And the period ends, so we head to period 3. Davis of Milford leading Berardinelli of Merrimack 13-3, and we are going to start in neutral. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm hearing a lot of keep your elbows in. Another one of those common things you hear from wrestling coaches. And 16-3 there with another 3-point takedown awarded to Davis. He just cuts her. So Berardinelli gets the 1-point escape there to make it 16-4. And then if he's able to get this takedown, which he did, that will lock up the technical fall win for Kane Davis of Milford. And we will end the duel, I believe, with a final score of 61-18 in favor of the visiting Milford Spartans.
Well, Aaron, certainly a promising start for the Tomahawks there, and then the Spartans just took right over. So, any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I think, again, it's such a young team for Merrimack. They've got so many young and athletic kids. Just about putting it, a matter of putting it together. I would anticipate that they might take some more lumps here as we move throughout the season, but this is a team that certainly shows promise here for next year and the year after as these kids become upperclassmen, and hopefully they become more of the hammer than the nail as we move forward. So,
yes,
appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you for the opportunity for Merrimack TV to do these broadcasts, and we'll see you at the next one.
Always, Aaron. Thank you so much. And I believe we have another meet next Wednesday. Hope you'll be joining us for that one.
We will.
Oh, perfect. So we will see you next Wednesday. I want to thank Aaron McAloon, of course, calling everything here tonight. I want to thank Grace back at the studio running some replays. I know she's got her hands full over there with the town council as well, so I want to thank her. And, of course, I want to thank you for watching Merrimack TV, your community, your voice.